everyone. My name is Alexandre Pacheco da Silva. I'm a law professor at São Paulo Law School at Getúlio Vargas Foundation, and I'm also the coordinator of the Center for Education and Research in Innovation. I'm here with Professor John Swinson from the University of Queensland. He's conducting a course, a short-term course here at FGV, and he kindly agreed to give us this interview about the relationship between law and technology. So, Professor Swinson, it's a pleasure to have you with us today. And I would like to ask you first, could you introduce yourself and explain what's your course about?
I'm John, I'm from Australia, and we're teaching a course here for 1 week which is called Business in a Borderless World. So it's how do you do business online internationally? So doing business is hard, but once you add international and online, it makes it even harder. So how would a company in Brazil that wanted to sell clothing throughout the world on the internet conduct its business? What legal rules does it need to know? How will it conduct business without getting into trouble? So that's what the course is about.
Oh, that's very interesting. So my first question for you for this interview, it is how is technology impacting the legal field in your view?
Yeah, so I think it's impacting the legal field in three ways. One, it's creating new areas of law or new legal questions that people haven't thought about. Second, it's impacting companies that wouldn't be involved in technology are now having to understand technology. And third, how you practice law is changing as well. So looking at each of those three issues, new areas of law. So with artificial intelligence, for example, we're getting questions, who owns what's created by an artificial intelligence machine? Is it an infringement to put a whole bunch of information, a whole bunch of artwork, for example, into a machine to create new artwork? Is that an infringement of the existing artwork? These are questions that didn't arise until artificial intelligence came along. And now that artificial intelligence is being used more often, they're becoming real questions rather than theoretical questions. There's lawsuits already happening in America on these questions. And people are trying to apply copyright law, which is more than 100 years old, and looking at cases about photography and saying a camera is a machine that creates a photograph. How is that similar to an artificial intelligence machine? And so we're stretching the law in new directions, and you have to understand the law, and you also have to understand how technology works. So it makes it a more complicated case. So new areas of law. Companies that didn't deal with technology are now having technology impacting. And an example, in Australia, I do some legal work for the State Road Authority, for people who make the roads. And you would think, well, there's not much technology, not much new technology to make a road. But they've got computers controlling all the lights, the traffic signals, the freeway on-ramps and off-ramps. And if you've got the right computer technology, you can reduce traffic jams. But you've now got a road company having to understand technology, and they're getting, and so I do the legal work, all the legal work is technology related, not road related. And they have no road lawyers, they only have technology lawyers, which is unexpected. 30 years ago, a road company would have had engineers and lawyers that understood engineering, not lawyers that understood complicated computer systems. And so every business is getting impacted by technology in ways that weren't expected. And third, the practice of law is changing. Like the practice of law changed when email came in, or the fax machine came in, or word processing came in, and they had minor incremental changes. But we're now seeing technology coming in, which is creating potentially radical change to how the legal profession will operate and do its work. And so that's a massive change. And I think that's a change that's going to come faster than we expect, and it's going to have more influence than people expect. And so someone who's studying law today, the way they're going to be practicing law in 10 years' time is going to be very different to the way we're practicing law today.
It's very interesting, especially because we have a long discussion regarding how law and how we teach law have been changing for at least the past years. So my second question for you, Professor, is, in your view, is there a field of knowledge that we can call law and technology? Because usually we say that technology create new questions, bring us to discuss things in different perspectives, but some authors are bringing this idea that we can actually discuss now a new field of knowledge. Do you agree with that? Do you consider that it is a knowledge that is emerging, that is happening right now?
Yeah, look, I think it's more than emerging. I think it's already emerged. One way to describe it is it's applied law, and you're applying the law, many different laws, to a particular business problem. But what's different about technology law is that some of the biggest companies in the world are now technology companies. If you were looking at the top companies 20 years ago, they were banks, oil companies, mining companies. If you look at the top companies now, there's still banks and mining companies in there, but you've got social media companies, you've got software companies, you've got companies which we didn't even think about 30 years ago. And they're starting to dominate commerce, dominate life. And they think about problems in a different way to a mining company or a bank. They have a different way of thinking, a different way of acting. And they're working typically involving the internet, and the internet is fundamentally different. Buying something from Amazon is very different to going to the local mall and buying something. So it's a fundamentally different business environment. And therefore the law is changing in a different way, and you can think about the law in a different way. And if you're thinking about the law in the old way, you're going to come to the wrong answers. You're going to get the risks wrong. You're going to get the outcomes wrong because the people who are doing it think differently to a bank or a mining company. Some of the questions, of course, are the same, right? Employment law for a technology company is going to be similar to employment law for a bank, not radically different. But when you're looking at the product of Netflix is very different to products that existed 20, 30 years ago. And so we need a way of thinking which is different, and all of that grouped together becomes technology law. A similar answer when you're looking at M&A law, it's really applied corporate law. It's how do investment bankers deal with the law. You can look at entertainment law. That's how do people in the entertainment industry deal. Entertainment law, you could say, is just contract law, but with certain industry rules, industry ideas behind it. And that's what technology law is. No one seems to suggest that M&A law is not law or that entertainment law is not law. I think technology law is a much bigger area than entertainment law, for example.
That's very interesting because not only we need to think about these new questions and this idea that markets are changing, this idea that companies are adapting regarding the uses of technology, because we have companies that actually were created to be tech companies. And we have traditional companies that actually are adapting themselves to this new scenario. But one thing that for us as a law school is very important, it is the promises that we actually make to our students. So you have your opportunities on the future to work on law if we are providing the legal education to do it. But recently a lot of parents here at FGV, when they are enrolling their children there, as a matter of fact, they're teenagers here at FGV, they ask us, the law professors, do you think that my son will have the same opportunities that you had when you started your career? And that's bring me to my final questions to you. What should a law school do regarding the impacts of new technologies in the legal field? With this image of the type of opportunities that we can provide to our students when we actually promise that they will have a good legal education and that we could actually bring all of those challenges that you mentioned before to them in this legal education environment.
So I think looking at a career in law, one thing is certain, and that certainty is we're going to have change. What we're doing today and what we're going to be doing in the future is going to change dramatically. If we say what you learn at law school today is the same law that you're going to apply at the end of your career, that's not the case. The law is going to change, the business environment is going to change, and technology is going to impact change. So you have to learn how to deal with change. You have to learn how to learn. You have to learn how to think as a lawyer. Just learning what the law is actually doesn't help you, because that's only the law today in Brazil. And if you're having an international career, that doesn't tell you about the law in Argentina or Australia or America, and it doesn't tell you about the law, but you need to know how to think like a lawyer and how to deal with change. Because if you can't deal with change, your practice as a lawyer is going to get smaller and smaller and smaller if you keep doing the same thing. I've been a lawyer working in law firms for more than 30 years in the same department. I sat at the same desk for 20 years, but my job changed every 6 months. What I did at the end of my 30 years in a law firm and even 10 years previously was very different. Even though it had the same title, even though it had the same job description, what I was doing was very different. Maybe if you're a banking lawyer, maybe if you're a property lawyer, it doesn't change so rapidly. But I say the future is technology. That's where the growth opportunity is. If you're looking at where the chance of your career growing, earning good money, and having an interesting life, it's technology law and dealing with change. If you want to have a safe area which you can just do the same thing every day, well, don't be a technology lawyer. Be another type of lawyer where you can just follow a procedure and you can do the same procedure and the procedure changes every 5 years. That's fine, but you might be replaced by a computer if it's that simple. People want lawyers that can look to the future and help them navigate the world into the future, not looking at the past. And so I think a career where you can deal with change and can understand technology and how technology can be used by lawyers, and so you can understand it to advise clients who are having to deal with technology, is a great career, great opportunities.
That's wonderful to hear. Thank you very much for this interview. It was a pleasure. And thank you again to be a part of our global law projects. Thank you.
Thank you for inviting me to Brazil.